energetic, passionate, and savvy. Gooch Live, brought to you by the good people at the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Gooch.
You are watching another episode of Gooch Live, and I'm really excited to do the wrap-up. It's called Overtime, and I got my good buddy Lucky here. He's going to come up in a few seconds, and we're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, wrapping up the Montreal-Tampa series, and then talk about some of the things that are going to go over the next couple of weeks. Jordan and I will be doing a couple of shows. We're going to slow Gooch Live down a little bit. We're going to be only doing Thursdays at the bottom line. We may be moving those to Wednesdays, and then the Friday show, and then a round table. And that'll be it for the summer. We got a summer schedule. I got to go to the lake. Yes, I do. I have to go to the lake. All right, listen, really excited about this one. Wrapping it up with your man, Derrick Lucky Luck. Luck, what's going on?
Hey. What's going on?
Hey, listen, yeah, you have yet to obviously chop down those trees. I'm hoping it's done for the new year. So when we come and do our Leafs prediction show, we'll have something else up there. I think.
Okay.
Great picture of Dougie. How about a Dougie picture?
I might put a good picture. I've got a really nice picture of him somewhere here. Yeah, I got a really good shot. Well, you know the famous shot.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. Hey, listen. Obviously, we're going to wrap up. We've been doing this all week. Today at 4:00, Stephen Ellis comes on, and we're going to wrap up everything and start talking about the future. So, with you, quick. Right. What I mean by
back to the future. Back to the future.
Let's go right now into what are your final comments on the Montreal Canadiens Tampa Bay Lightning series? And obviously Tampa Bay was the team that deserved it. Love to hear your take on it.
I thought it ended the way I thought. I mean, you asked me who I thought was going to win. I always took Tampa. I feel bad for a couple players on Montreal. It's a love-hate relationship with them. I don't hate them. I mean, I'm a Leaf fan. I want the Leafs to win, but I'm also Canadian. I mean, everyone's Canadian that plays on all these teams anyways. I think half the team in Tampa is Canadian. I didn't like Kucherov's press conference. I thought that was a little boisterous going on there with no shirt on. A little bit of a gangster kind of mentality. But, hey, he won the cup.
I want to jump in on that because I didn't know you'd go there so quickly. That was going to be one of my points. But I do want to ask you, you and I are a little bit older. We had this discussion with Jordan, and Jordan basically said, "Hey, the NHL needs some personality, you know, like in the basketball and all that." And I'm of the old school thinking, listen, that's okay if you're in the dressing room and the guys are chatting and they got the picture and he's got no shirt on, but going to a scheduled press conference with a beer, obviously lit up a little bit, which is understandable. He just won a championship. But then calling out the Montreal fans, I just thought the whole thing was
that's Russian. That's how the Russians are. The Russian players are that boisterous kind of, don't chirp at me too soon, boys. And I get it, but I'm like you. I don't know if it's old school or just proper etiquette. Let
me ask you this question, because I've had this question.
Would Yzerman do that? Would Stevie Y do that? Would Dougie Gilmour do that?
No.
Would John Tavares do that?
No, don't even
Jonathan Toews do that? Would Nathan McKinnon? You know what I mean?
Here's my question to you, because you've taken all the thunder out of my question. But here's what it is. When Ovechkin had that little incident in the strip joints and had that big, huge whopping, we all he's Russian. They can get he can't stand, can't understand the language, communication issues. Had it been Sidney Crosby, it would have been a whole other animal. So here's the question to you. Are the Russian players allowed to get away with it because of that persona we give them? If that would have been, let's say, Steven Stamkos going up to that press conference without a shirt, with a beer in his hand, all those sponsors that are represented, would he be even with IMG? Wouldn't you say, that's my thought. That's what I'm thinking about. And the final part to that, I want to ask you, what is the reflection of him doing that? He can get away with it because he's Russian, but what is the reflection with when you have young boys, girls, and families watching the game? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. I mean, then you're asking my opinion on the reflection. I don't think in today's Trump era, I think it's acceptable. I mean, everything's about going against the grain. So I don't think it's a big deal. For me, I didn't like it. I'm sure some people loved it. Some people cheered him on. I don't know. I just was always let's have some couth. Have proper etiquette. I mean, I don't think you need to rub someone's face in it, especially going after Montreal fans. Yeah, that's the only game they won. I mean, let them cheer. But to say that, some of the comments are coming out, I just felt that, you won, you're a champion, you're back-to-back. Ride that wave.
Yeah.
You could have went out there with no shirt on. You could have went out there and just said, we did it. I can't believe it. It was a war. Carey Price is a great goalie. And, done it with class.
Absolutely.
That's why Kucherov isn't a captain. Right there is what he did. And that's why Kucherov will never be a captain.
Right.
Because it's fine to do that, but you'll never be a leader doing that.
Right.
Not a chance.
I just, obviously, Bobby B's coming on and saying there's a fine line between arrogance and confidence. This was arrogant and not needed. Yeah. I think where is the PR department? That's what I don't understand.
Well, they don't listen. Russians aren't going to listen. They do their own thing.
I know.
I'm telling you right now, I've dealt with them. I've dealt with them many times. Yeah. I've seen the Fedorovs. I've seen the Kovalcheks. And Ilya, I can tell you what, Ilya would never do that.
Yeah.
And he's definitely a good enough hockey player, but you wouldn't see him do it. I just think it's the younger. Would Datsyuk do that? Never. No, you know what I mean? So it's just that new wave kind of. Well, I don't know. You got to give Kucherov credit, though. He was injured all year. Yeah. The guy comes back and lights up the playoffs.
Yeah, well, but he had a lot of time off to get healed.
Well, yeah, he was also injured.
Yeah, we got injured during the playoffs. It's not. Come on, now let's be fair.
Kucherov?
Give him the credit that he deserves.
Kucherov was injured all season.
He took that broken rib in one of the games. That didn't happen before the playoffs. He had a whole year to, once he got fixed and up to go. I'm going to give him full marks. Don't. Yeah. But I wanted to say this on that. Obviously, Sergei Makarov wouldn't have done that because he didn't have the body.
Right.
To be able, we'd see kind of the punch going on. Let's talk about the series itself. I want you. Obviously, the Conn Smythe. We had the discussion. Carey Price could have done it if it would have ended up in 7, even if they lost. I also think, Kucherov. I think he was in the works. But when a guy gets 5 shutouts in a playoff series, for the whole playoff series, you got to give it to the.
Well, you knew he was good. I mean, I think he got robbed on the Vezina. I don't know why they gave it to Fleury. No offense. I thought he was the better goalie the whole season. And I don't think Fleury played all the games as much as he did, Sergachev. Yeah. So I think he got robbed on the Vezina. And I agree with Kucherov on those points he made about his goalie. I don't like that Kucherov didn't know the name of the guy that won the Vezina.
We should, again, and there's no, again, if you go back to it, you've just won the Stanley Cup. And I don't want to belabor the point, but there is a form of class and putting it. Yep. You're right. He will not be a captain. I would, if I'm front office, I'd be saying, hey, you got to temper it a little bit because here's.
Now, if you're front office, you don't say anything.
He didn't need to take Fleury. He didn't.
I'm telling you right now, you don't say anything.
Not needed at that press conference.
No, but you don't say nothing to him because what's going to happen? Then you're going to alienate him. He's not intelligent enough to see what you're trying to tell him.
I'd ship him out.
You won't ship Kucherov out. Not a
Bobby
chance.
B says, for the record, he's Russian and was born there and has never behaved in such a regardless platform. Bobby B, I love you, but you're not Kucherov. Making millions of dollars. They can basically tell everybody, hey, you don't like what I do? I'm not playing. I'm going to play in a cage.
Yeah, but you also know that the Russians aren't, the good Russians are good. But I'm going to tell you right now, the bad Russians are very bad.
We won't even go there because I got some stories that I'm sure you do. So let's move on from deservedly the Stanley Cup champ. Is the word dynasty going to be played right now? I know people are talking about it. Obviously, people are saying that they've got a chance for 3 in a row. I do not believe that. I think there's too much parity. Las Vegas is going to come back with vengeance. We know that Colorado is going to make some changes. I know my Winnipeg Jets are going to make a big move, and they're going to be in contention for the Stanley Cup. I don't see them being able to three-peat, but right now with 2 Stanley Cup champions back-to-back, is dynasty a word that should be talked about with the Tampa?
Well, I don't think dynasty is a word until you are in a dynasty. So, it's a hearsay for now. But I think if Tampa goes out there and makes another move, Stamkos isn't getting any younger, so you're going to have to talk to him and see how much longer he wants to play with injuries and such. And he's the kind of guy I get this gut feeling he's not going to play until he's 40.
Yeah.
I think he'll retire. But I would think that if they made another move or two, that team's going to be tough to beat. I mean, that's going to be the gold standard. And you can rate Colorado could go get a goalie, but the goalie that they had was in the Vezina race. So I don't know how much better, Cale Makar can play, or, losing Kadri, I think, really hurt them. And I don't want to put it on Nas because Nas is a great player, but I think they could have used Nas for the rest of the playoffs. And I think with Nas, I think they would have beat Vegas.
Well, I could say that with Scheifele, the Winnipeg Jets would have
not a chance. Not a chance. They don't have the same talent.
Oh my God!
Come on, dude.
I'm going.
Hellebuck's a good goalie, but Hellebuck isn't Carey Price or
oh my
Sergachev.
God!
That's our disagreement.
And Paul's piping in, and I like it, Paul. Paul's saying, no, you can't say dynasty. And I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
I do not. I'm honestly going to say, and I know you may think different. I think you're going to think the same way. Teams now see what it takes to win. I think Colorado, for sure.
I get that. I get what you're saying, but let's be honest. If they saw what it took to win, why we haven't won since '67?
Well, because that is now we're going to go there. Thank you for bringing that up. Because they just signed Dermott to a 2-year deal. What do you think of that? And even if they think that way, by signing him,
Dermott was making $800,000 a year, and they benched him some games in the playoffs, so he didn't get to play. Now you know what? Let's give him a raise. So they bring him back for 2 more years at $1.5 million. So they give basically a $700,000 US raise, and sign him for 2 years for $3 million. And he was a restricted free agent with rights. So I don't know, being benched would have helped his clause going into helped his case going into the hearings. But the signing that bugs me is we signed Wayne Simmons for 2 more years. God love Wayne Simmons. Don't get me wrong. Great guy. But how many dinosaurs do we need in this lineup to prove that we didn't win with them in this one, and we're not going to win? You're signing the same players. We're going through the same crap. Where we have to change is we have to get rid of management and mentality and stop thinking you're going to get all these pretty boys that are going to win us a cup. And Matthews is talented. Everybody trade Matthews, trade Marner. I don't agree with trading them. I agree with teaching them. And it comes from the top down. And that's the problem with the Leafs. We got all these posers making $11, $12 million wearing Drew clothing with the Gucci slippers, going in there with the hairdo. You see Matthews knows Bieber, so he wears the Drew, which is cool. But then, the next day you see Nylander, Marshmallow come in with his Drew gear on, and it's all that posing pictures, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and that's throughout the league. Listen, Paul was saying too. I forgot to post this. Tampa will lose a lot of players, so we're going to.
Well, they wrote $20 million over the cap for the playoffs.
Yeah, so we'll find out what's going on.
Yeah,
Bobby B saying McDermott's off, like the Dermott signing is awful. Guy hits nothing but the boards.
Yeah.
Dinos that haven't won a cup, Muzzin excluded. Listen, I want to ask you what your thoughts are. Obviously, the expansion draft is coming up for the Seattle Kraken. We know that they're going to look to expand their roster quickly, just like what went on in Vegas. I want to ask you this. Any chance Fleury will do a no trade and go over and do what he did for the Kraken, what he did in Vegas? And the other question to you is, who's going to be taken from the Leafs?
Well, it depends who the Leafs protect, how many defensemen. I mean, I would think they're going to be strong on defense protection. We know they're going to expose someone. I don't know. I mean, do they expose now, how I got to get the total understanding how this works is the player has to be under contract with the team for them to be exposed. So you can't expose Hyman because he's not signed. So it has to be a contract player. Or the Leafs give up like the boneheads they do when they did that deal for Connor Brown to take on money on that defenseman we gave up. And they give up a draft pick or something to protect some players. But who do you want to protect the Leafs? I'd expose the whole team other than maybe 5 players.
Yeah, probably Travis Dermott, just because he signed it does not mean He's not going to go in that. Also, Hull is another name that's come up.
I would try. He's not protected. Dermott's not protected.
Yeah.
The only guy you protect, I would think, is Riley, Muzzin. What's the other guy's name? The guy defenseman there. I'm trying to think of him. He's young. Anyways, so they're going to lose someone, but they're not going to lose anybody that matters. Put it that way. Where I think it's going to be funny is Colorado is whether they protect Kadri. And I think that's going to be fun to watch because I think Nas is a great player. I think Toronto should never have got rid of him. I was out for dinner last night with some couples of my wife's friends, and one of them is a huge Hab fan. He's also a fan of hockey, and he said it was the worst move Toronto ever made. Yeah. So
listen,
we'll see what happens.
There's talk of the Kraken looking at Giordano out of Calgary. That would be a great addition for that, bringing in that veteran.
Well, captain. That would be their captain probably then.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have him in a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey. I just think the defense is needing a
What about Tarasenko?
Final, very, very good move. Final question to you is, I want to go to the most important question that's going on in Toronto right now. Obviously, they're going to protect Campbell. Anderson, even though the agent is talking a little bit of fluff, who's going to be the starting goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Campbell.
When you think so? You think?
Well, I know that's the way Toronto works. No, I don't.
No,
I don't think he's good enough. But we're not going to go unless we go out and get a Carey Price or someone big. This is how Toronto works. We have so much money buried in the top four guys that I don't think we could do anything else but keep Campbell. Campbell's an adequate goalie, but are you going to win a Stanley Cup with Campbell?
Well, look at the teams that the Final Four that got in there had exceptional goaltending. We know that's
he's not exceptional. He's a good guy, and he's well-loved, but he's not exceptional.
There are some rumors. I love this thing coming out from Bobby B. Whispers. Have you heard anything about this? Matthew Tkachuk coming to Toronto?
For who? They're not going to let him walk. You know, who are we going to give up for him? We're going to have to give up a contract player or a hell of a prospect.
Kerfoot? How about Dermott? We can give him Dermott.
Yeah, I give him Kerfoot or Dermott for Matthew. I mean, I think Matthew's just wearing out his welcome there. That's the only problem. He's a good hockey player. That's the kind of player we need. We need someone with a little shit disturber kind of.
What's going on with Marner? Anything you've heard? Anything?
No, they're not going to do nothing with Marner. There's not a chance. If you're giving up Marner, you're getting Eichel. You're getting someone of stature.
Tarasenko?
No, I wouldn't give up Marner for Tarasenko.
Yeah, he's had a lot of.
He's got too much injury. He's got that injury. You got to get someone young. He's got to be 25 or under.
All right. Well, once we hear the list of the expansion draft and who's being protected and who's not,
that'll be interesting. I really want to see who the Leafs expose.
Yep.
And I'd like to see if Colorado, who they expose, and who Vegas exposes. If you, like you say, Fleury gets exposed again.
Lucky, once we get those lists, which they have to do the protection list July, I think it's July the 17th.
Yes.
So on the 18th, we'll probably get you back on.
Okay.
Your thoughts on who they protected, who they didn't. The Leafs, obviously Colorado is very interesting to you. I'm going to look at all the Canadian teams. Who are the Habs going to put up? Who's Edmonton going to put up? It's going to be exciting.
I tell you what, the Habs, you got to be careful. Like all these teams say they're stacking Colorado. Montreal gets a couple of players added to that roster because where they do have, they got the heart. They've got that. So we've got the Gallaghers and the players that are Andersons.
Suzuki. And Perry's come out and said he absolutely loved it in Montreal and would love to continue on playing there.
You got to bring him back. If we brought Simmons back, Montreal's got to bring Perry back.
Exactly. All right, Lucky, thank you for taking some time out.
No problem.
You know, it's time to get that so next time I see you, I want to see a cool-looking Leafs picture behind you.
Maybe. Well, I'd have to come to the Wayne's place then, and we'll do it there.
We'll do that. All right. Looking forward to it. All right, buddy. Thanks, Lucky.
Take care, guys. Have a great day.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Go Leafs, go. Hey, listen, always pleasure to hear other people's thoughts, obviously, on what's going to go on. Lucky has a very good perspective. Of course, he loves the Toronto Maple Leafs. he loves the Montreal Canadiens. He's a really good supporter of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but he's also a fair hockey fan. And of course, we will watch in Colorado what goes on with Kadri and who they do expose. Hey, listen, don't forget today at 4:00, we've got Stephen Ellis from the Hockey News. He's going to break it all down for us. He's going to talk to us about obviously what went on. He was at Game 4 in Montreal, so we'll get kind of the experience of what went on there. Then we'll talk a little bit about the expansion draft and the entry draft, because he's got the numbers and the people that you want to hear who they're going to go to what team. And also, don't forget tomorrow's roundtable with Paul Rose and myself, and of course Scott Taylor, talking with Taylor. We're going to bring the final roundtable for that particular day on Saturday. We'll be moving it, all of them, to 12 o'clock Saturday. So don't forget, tomorrow at 12, you've got the Rosen Report, Gooch Live, and Talking with Taylor coming together to give you the final thoughts on Montreal, Toronto, and of course our friends in Tampa Bay. Good night.
You've been listening to Gooch Live with your host, Kerry Goulet, better known as The Gooch, brought to you by the Hockey News and Sports Illustrated.